And hello, and welcome back. Hello stream, I thank you for putting up with my silence for a few seconds, and if you're on YouTube, you know, hello, we're back. We just finished the combined role quest for Endwalker, which is one of a small list of things I want to do before patch 6.2 comes out, which comes out about a week from the day that I am recording this. I've had the role quests available for a long time. I was just being lazy and not doing them. Each individual role quest was good, I was just kind of slacking on the combined one. It literally just finished, we're all done. There are two more things I want to do, and I don't know where either one of them starts. I'm pretty confident the one I want to do starts in Charlian. So we're gonna go there. I was looking it up while the last cutscene was playing for the last one. Because there's two things. The one that I want to do is the Omega Beyond the Rift quests. Oh god, there's two here. Okay. The other one is Tataru's Grand Adventure, or Grand Venture, which is over here, this Small Business Big Dreams. I'm not doing that yet. I will do it, I probably won't get to it today. This down here, a Heartless Hypothesis, is the start of the Omega Beyond the Rift quests. So that's what I'm gonna go and do. As you know, if you watched my Endwalker stuff, I did not shut up about Omega the entire time. So when we got to Ultima Thule, and I got some information and some closure, I was very excited. And then they gave me the Stigma Dreamscape. And then in 6.2, they're giving me the Omicrons as a gathering beast tribe. I am being given so many good things. I love Omega Quest. I love Omega. My little baby spider frog bug. We love. Before I pick up this quest, the cat girl, I mentioned in the last video, but in case you didn't watch the last one, I'll mention again, that Square Enix has a tendency to release sets of short stories in between major patches sometimes. Usually it's one set of like 10 stories that come out over the course of like a month or so. Shadowbringers actually had two. The first set was related to what would be the future Endwalker role quests, which I thought was cool. The second set was a bunch of random Shadowbringers related things, one of which was Omega in the Doomed timeline, which is all fine and dandy, except it revealed something that up to this point has not been addressed in the main story. I'm gonna pull up my little spreadsheet. This is my pacing spreadsheet. It comes up every so often. I keep track of all the new patches in Final Fantasy and Guild Wars. This is old news. I talk about this all the time. Oreo has forced my door open. Hello, my son. How do you too? Hello. We will leave the door open. You might hear a cat. What I want to look at here did I not? Tales from the Shadows. Did I not put the second? There was two sets of them, I'm sure. This is Tales from the Shadows. This is the one that I'm talking about, though. Specifically, I believe it was this one, A World Forsaken. Yes. I think? Yes. This is written from Omega's perspective in the Doomed timeline. But Omega, this is the same Omega that's in our present timeline. It's just, you know, diverged, but like, it's still the same Omega. the important thing here to note, it doesn't matter what the story was about. What matters this. Omega is not destroyed. Omega's consciousness is in the little wind-up Omega toy that's following Alpha around. It doesn't, like, start to get it. Like, the stuff it was searching for, it doesn't start to understand until it's, like, all the bad stuff happens in the Doom timeline. But, like, it's there. It's... So, every time I've been, like... Every time when I was doing Endwalker, and I, like, saw Alpha and the little wind-up Omega following him around, I was saying hi to Omega just as much as I was saying hi to Alpha. They're still in there. It's still in there. And I'm hoping that this Beyond the Rift quest is going to address that in the game, because I love Omega. Okay? It's really good. I have the statue. It's behind me. You can't see it because I don't have a webcam on. Whoop, I hit the mic stand. I have the wind-up Omega statue. Not the wind-up Omega. I have the actual Omega statue. The, like, expensive one. Which means I have these guys. I didn't buy the statue for the emotes. I bought the statue for the statue. But, like, that's my proof that I have it. I have the emotes. I like Omega. Anyway, we're gonna go with this, and I'm gonna hope that it is what I think it is. That this is what I'm going into it with. Crossing fingers for Omega speaking again. That's blown the cobwebs away. Time to return to work. Goodness me, look who it is. How incredibly serendipitous that I would run into you, of all people. I was part of the team which designed the Ragnarok, you see, and we've recently begun the process of combing through the vessel's flight log data. The primary objective of your journey to Ultima Thule was to save our star and countless others, of course, but it also provided us with an invaluable trove of information, records of places and events we could only dream of. Your safe return gave us much to be thankful for. As it so happens, one of the things we pulled from the log was a transmission of unknown origin, something the ship must have intercepted during its flight. We believe it to be an audio message, but even our most talented linguists have been unable to decipher the language. Let me listen to it. I might be able to understand it. For a while there, it seemed we must accept defeat, but today may be the day that we finally solve the mystery. If you are so inclined, would you care to come along to Thalmazine? It seems fitting to have one of the Ragnarok's original passengers present to hear history being made. I just like to say she has a unique hairstyle and I want it. That's a new hairstyle, give it to me. Did you just let someone with the echo listen to it? Unless it's like encoded. If it's like beep 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 beep, then I'm not gonna be able to understand it, but like... Actually, it probably is Morse code, or some kind of derivative of Morse code. It's just a robot voice going 100111100. I don't want to spell out anything accidentally, but you know what I mean. Anyway. Teaching the people of Aetheris about binary. Bam. Sup. I still think the Ragnarok should have stayed in the harbor in Charlian. It would have been extra funny. But, eh. Ah, there you are. This is where we're to meet the engineers from Garland Ironworks, who, I am told, potentially hold the key to unlocking our mystery transmission. They should be along any moment. So, Omega ones were Jesse, Biggs, Wedge, Sid, and Nero. Could be any one of those. I would not mind Nero being here again. It would be great to see him. But, considering what just happened in the role quests, he might not be here. Sorry, we're late. We had some trouble finding the right... Gods, is that you, Carolyn? That's gotta be Biggs and Wedge. Yeah. Hello. Yes, the woman herself. I ran into her at the harbor and thought if anyone deserved to hear this message deciphered, it was Carolyn Ka. I'm just... Every time the camera's on her, I'm just staring at her hair. Give me that hairstyle. No argument here, but bugger me if you don't have a knack for being in the right place at the right time. This actually has more to do with you than you might think, so please, do stick around. Absolutely. Shall we pick up from where we left off, then? She hasn't even introduced herself to me yet. What's your name, girl? As I was saying, we think this transmission the Ragnarok intercepted is a message of some kind, albeit in a language entirely alien to our ears. Alien being the operative word here. Considering we received the message out in the great expanse, its origin was likely some distant star. Unfortunately, our list of off-world allies is presently rather short, thus we were resigned to the fact that the meaning behind the message would remain beyond our understanding. One of my colleagues, however, refused to give up. She remembered the Ironworks engineers who had been so helpful in the construction of the Ragnarok, and turned to them for insight into our seemingly impossible problem. Do you know what Wedge said when he heard what was going on? We should have Omega listen to it. I bet it can tell us what the message means. Not the Omega you beat in the Rift, of course. He's talking about the toy that trundles around with Alpha, the little model we made. We originally designed it to follow a chosen target and not much else, but I've seen it act in ways that, well, it's like it has a mind of its own. They're addressing it! They are addressing it! I'm so excited. Okay, let's go. We're calm. Then I got to thinking about those documents you lot sent the chief, the full report on the final days. In the part about Omega's civilization, it said their people discovered how to convert the mind into data and store it outside the body. Timing being what it was, I wonder if Omega didn't somehow transfer its consciousness into our model right before you put an end to the real one. Oh, I'm so happy they're addressing this! My babies! Hello! There they are! So, in an effort to get to the bottom of that, as well as take a crack at this indecipherable message, we decided to make some modifications. With help from Labyrinthos technicians, we've upgraded our toy Omega with a fully functional vocalization module. Look at the babies! Look at them! We played the transmission for Omega, and I think it's ready to share. Get stick-bugged, lol. Are you in there, Omega? Affirmative! If by Omega you are referring to my consciousness rather than my entire former chassis existing inside this considerably smaller frame. My babies! I'm so happy! Prediction. You will formulate several misconceptions. These I shall preemptively dismiss based on the following facts. 1. Vocalization module aside, this chassis remains unmodified from the design constructed by the engineers Biggs and Wedge. I evaluate its combat capabilities to be on par with a mortal infant. 2. The mechanism which allowed me to perform an emergency transfer of my consciousness was installed in my previous body. With the destruction of that body, I am rendered incapable of replicating such a feat. Should this current material form be destroyed or cease to function, all cognitive awareness or presence I possess will also be lost. Please don't. Please don't do that. I just got you back. Conclusion. I present no threat to you or your star, nor do my projections indicate the necessity to inflict harm. In the fraction of a moment before my annihilation in the rift, I re-examined my directives. If I am to fulfill my purpose as an evolving construct, then I must continue my journey for improvement for as long as I exist. I must acquire this heart of yours, this strength of soul. You know, We have a scientific answer for what Omega is missing now. It's Dynamis. Was Omega a person before? Like, here's the thing, was Omega an Omicron? And, because, like, the Omicrons were people that just moved their brains into robot bodies, right? Was Omega an Omicron? Or was Omega an Omicron creation? This is important. Whew, anyway. Well, there you have it, and it's not wrong about its combat capabilities. It'd be more likely to damage itself than the thing it was trying to attack. But let's not forget the reason we brought you here in the first place. What about the transmission they played for you? Could you recognize the language? Affirmative. It was transmitted in Pan-Galactic Basic. Pan-Galactic Basic? Space Common. A common language in comparatively extensive usage throughout the worlds we have conquered. Which means you can finally tell us what that message said. That is a language you understand, yes? I understand it perfectly. I am fluent in over 6 million distinct dialectical codings. My cooperation in this matter, however, is conditional. What conditions? Elaboration. Your Chief Sid utilizes the floor as part of his unorthodox filing system, which allowed me to scan the reports on the final days. I am aware that my home star, the one you call Alphatron, was obliterated in the aftermath of Sir and Medion's meeting. The existence of Dynamis has not previously factored into my projections, but I now comprehend the concept, in theory. What fails to compute is why the Omicrons were not immune to its effects. Dynamis should have no influence on a race which possesses no heart. And yet, Sir expressed to Medion a desire to cease existing. Illogical. They were people once! They were like flesh and blood organic people at one point, right? But like so long ago that there's like nothing left. That was the whole concept, right? Or were they constructs of a people? And then the people died and they were left behind. I can't remember anymore. Either way, Alpha is completely fabricated and he has a soul. So like, can spontaneously happen. I must pursue this anomaly further, until the full equation becomes clear to me. I must analyze all the elements of the final days, and deepen my understanding of the heart's intangible properties. To expedite this process, I require an external interpretation of those sections of the report which continue to produce errors in my calculations. I request the assistance of Carolyn Ka. As one who experienced the ravages of ultimate despair on multiple fronts, and displayed immeasurable heart in engineering my defeat, she is the optimal choice to fulfill this role. So we either agree to your conditions, or you tell us nothing. I'm sorry to put you in a spot like this, Carolyn. If you have time and the patience to spare, we'd all be grateful if you could humor the toy's demands. You literally could not keep me away from this robot. Alpha, sweet baby boy, wake up. There's a very important conversation happening. As Alpha dozed off, I suppose the subject was a bit technical. Oop. Rouse yourself, Alpha. You must listen to and consider these matters, even as I must. Wait. Why don't you make a trip out of it? You know, actually visit the places that has the, things Omega wants to ask about. It'll make explaining stuff easier, for one, and also help keep Alpha awake and alert. I will absolutely take you on a tour! This is so exciting. Why don't you have a name yet, though? Anyway. What a remarkable development. Biggs and Wedge told me much of your encounter with Omega before we began, and now that we have the Omicron's weapon talking, there are so many questions I'm simply dying to ask. Back when we were first exploring our options, we did actually consider playing the transmission to the inhabitants of Ultima Thule. The problem is, we would be dealing with beings recreated through Dynamis. Their communication is based on emotional energy, and anything lacking that vital component would likely fail to register. That rules out a recorded message. And so we focused on the resources we had to hand, never dreaming that the solution would all but fall into our lap. Omega has been an outright terror to us in the past, but it's almost strange how little it frightens me now. It helps that it's trapped inside that tiny model, of course, and that it follows Alpha around like a puppy. But most of all, I remember the chief telling me how much it sounded like a lost child there at the end. Yes, it did. It just wanted to go home. It just wanted to go home and it didn't know how. It's so sad. I bet the chief won't see this one coming. Once he gets over the shock, though, I don't think he'll want us to destroy Omega. Nero, on the other hand, he'll want to use the model for some dangerous experiments. In fact, maybe we should put off making a report for now. Hi, Alpha! Quick! Hey, baby! Hello, Omega. I see you have chosen the mutually beneficial option. Logical. Setting aside the matter of Sir, there are 3 elements of the report on which I desire clarification. The first of these concerns the progression of the final days in Radzatan. I recognize no pattern in those who succumbed to the transformation, and those who did not. That's a bit of a trek if you wanted to chat with the locals. How about we lend you an airship? We do not require such outmoded technology. Carolyn's teleportation spell is the most efficient option for long-distance travel. This chassis is a model, essentially a toy, and Alpha, despite his organic composition, is indistinguishable from a stuffed doll. Conclusion: we qualify as material possessions. Pick us up, and you can teleport the 3 of us to your destination. Yes, sure. Scoop them up. Just shove them in your bag. Way. I don't know why I'm gonna talk to Alpha every time, even though he's just gonna quay at me, but like, you know. Yep. Sensors indicate we have arrived in Radzatan. Objective: identify factors for resistance to involuntary transformation. Hypothesis: unaltered survivors of the final days will display significant strength of heart. Confirming this theory will require the cooperation of live subjects. Where is the ward designated for residential habitation? Understood. Comma set as our sub-destination. Please take the lead and select the subjects we are to interview. Omega and Alpha are now following you. I know you're just gonna quay at me, but I'm still gonna talk to you. What about you? This body has no advanced navigational or geoscanning functionality. You must lead the way. Okay. Ooh, there's a talk point. Children, children, we're going on a trip. Very excited. Look at my Ifrit's clipping into Omega. It's fine. Oh, Omega is using minion follow rules. That's why Ifrit is standing inside of him. Discuss the stairs. Can you climb stairs? You're kind of small. Warning, please avoid stairs whenever possible. My projections indicate high risk probability for accidental slippage leading to catastrophic structural damage. Stepped inclines also increase my energy consumption by 63%. In mortal terms, they tire me out. Taking into account the difference in individual limb length, the design is inherently flawed. A convenient step height for one is an exhausting trial for another. Were I to oversee the civic design of this settlement, I would construct a sloped conveyor belt which enabled automatic traversal. 0 personal energy expenditure. Fair. But like, what if you're on like a wheelchair and you roll backwards on the ramp? I guess you can like lock the wheels. Right? I've never thought about it before. Anyway. Alpha chirps enthusiastically, apparently unfazed by the prospect of climbing the stairs. I can literally just pick you up. I can just pick you up. I know Alpha wants to climb the stairs, but Omega does not want to climb the stairs. Like, we have to go up there, unfortunately. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to be a little tired. Scuttle those little toes. Come on. What if I bring out my Omega minion and then I just have 2 Omegas following me? Hold on. My OMG. There's 2 of them! This is what we're doing. Oh no. Form the ultimate Omega. There's 2. It's good. Scuttle, scuttle, scuttle. Okay. I'm gonna bring out something that's not on the ground, just so that my little burb. That way we don't have anything clipping into Omega. Hello, melancholy man. Are you a traveler? Please, if you have a moment, I could use an outsider's perspective. You see, I was one of those who sought to escape the madness plaguing the world by fleeing to the moon. Not that we ever went, in the end. So here I am, recently returned from Charlian, except now things are strained between my sister and I, since she chose to stay and I chose to leave. I ask her to help me find work, and she suggests I look somewhere that isn't Thavner, as if I wanted to abandon my home. Ugh, it makes me so angry. Yep. Your point is unclear. You elected to relocate to the star's satellite, thus your relative now perceives you in a negative light? Your sibling's judgment is in error. Based on the information made available to Hunnish citizens, your decision to withdraw to the moon was both logical and correct. Conversely, the decision to remain in Razathan despite the low probability of survival defies explanation. Perhaps her reasoning pathways are faulty. That's right! I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but I'm right, aren't I? Or so I'd like to think. The problem is, I understand why my sister feels this way. I almost decided against going myself. Even then, I wasn't sure that leaving behind everything I loved was the right choice. And with the way it all turned out, I know. I should be having this talk with my sister. I'll go and see her once I get my thoughts in order. Thank you for listening to my troubles. Please continue the questioning. These auditory sensors are inferior, but I am able to hear your conversations with sufficient clarity. Oh, hello again. You're the one who came to ask me questions about Kalzal. I'm glad to see you looking well after all that unpleasantness. I remember the burning skies and hearing the screams, but truth be told, I'm still confused as to what actually happened. I only know it wasn't unusual for entire families to go missing. Many of my neighbors' houses lie empty even now. Kalzal's place is one of them. He had no close relatives to speak of, and I heard that it was members of the consortium who came to remove his belongings. What a terrible thing to have to do. Yep, terrible. Kalzal's passing was recorded in the report, clearing out his domicile and readying it for new habitation. Hello, Oreo. Seems an appropriate reallocation of resources. Give me a minute, Oreo is on my desk. You're not allowed on here. You know better. Get down. Get your feet off the desk. No. You know better than that. Dear me, what a clever little contraption. But of course I'm not against making use of his quarters. That would be wasteful. It's simply that Kalzal was always such a vigorous person. All that passion, all those dreams, suddenly gone. I feel the same sorrow for everyone who was lost, seeing the remnants of those vibrant lives packed away in boxes. That is what I mean by terrible. That awful end of days business almost brought an end to Kalzal's consortium. It's heartening, though, watching those who survived work to carry on his legacy. Maybe it's time I put aside my own grief and did something to help. You have the same dialogue again? Ow. You the little boy with the flowers, or... Oh. Hey, don't I know you? Yes, after the beasts were taken care of. Ooh. You told me to join everyone in the square. Thanks to you, I was there when Vritra gave his speech. I found out who Varshan really was. It's a shame we don't get to play like we used to, but Mama says Vritra has been busy putting the city back in order. Maybe I can work for him one day, when I'm a man grown. Vritra, Midgard Sormer's offspring, yes? And this child wishes to put himself at the worm's command, that he might make his own contribution to society. A pattern emerges. I predict that the Hanish survivors are those who had ingested Vritra's blood, and become his draconic minions. No! Though dragons were no match for our civilization's might, their combat capabilities are not to be underestimated. It is unlikely they would experience emotions of dread or uncertainty as exhibited by lesser beings in times of undue stress. Omega! I need to take you to Ishgard. Because they got a lot of dread and uncertainty in Ishgard. Dragons. I'm not a dragon, and I never ingested anyone's blood either. You. You are not of Vritra's horde, so you possess no hidden means to fight off the beasts. What of fear, then? You were frightened? Yes, I was frightened. I just hid and hoped they wouldn't find me, at least until she told me it was safe to come out. Carolyn, I require a moment to process this input. Let us move apart and discuss our findings. I still see Varshan around from time to time, you know. They say that he uses that body to scout places where his Vritra body can't fit. He even talked to me once, but it was just too strange hearing grown-up words coming from Varshan's mouth. Yep. Processing data. Evaluating hypothesis against accumulated evidence. I offered an optimal analysis of each subject's testimony, yet each time their responses conflicted with my assessment. Without identifying the root cause of this conflict, I will be unable to properly define what constitutes strength of heart. Perhaps the heart you seek lies in the conflict itself? An interesting observation. It is possible my base criteria is in error, in which case it is imperative that I continue this learning process and repair any fundamental misconceptions. Next, I wish to interact with an individual who endured similar circumstances to Kalzal prior to his transformation. Are you acquainted with any local merchants who had dealings with him? Friggin' no idea who that is, but I know where Ruveda Fibers is. Inabaha of Ruveda Fibers? Acknowledged. Sub-destination set. What imperceptible qualities allowed him to survive where Kalzal did not? Oh wait, yeah, I remember. When we were going around questioning, trying to figure out who the first person to transform was, and we were tracking the process back. You can use... So, Something that changed from base Endwalker is that you can now use Aetherites without abandoning the people that you're traveling with. Which I forgot until I ran away, so I'm gonna come back. We can do this now. And they should still be with us. Yeah, see? Very nice. Look here. The talk point over here, so we're gonna go do that first. Wish it wasn't raining. Hey, look, it's Dodo. Hello, what are you doing, bud? I'm just hanging out. Amsa, sorry. Halt, Carolyn. Do not proceed beyond the fence. In this body, birds of that size represent lethal, unthinking threats. They will peck my casing apart, searching for meat that does not exist. Conversely, Alpha can correctly identify my absence of nutritional content. If only he would apply that intelligence towards maintaining a regular feeding schedule, poor habits adversely affect his mobility. I see. You look like a bug, so they try and eat you. Alpha looks back and forth between Omega and the Hamsa, showing visible concern. I see. Yeah, he looks like... it? Gender neutral he, but technically it. Because we all know Omega F's the better one, right? Just objectively. Technically, Final Omega is the best one. But we don't see that one except for in Savage, so we go with F. Well, well, look who it is. I must thank you again for your help in moving our textiles. Recovering from those tragic events has been difficult, of course, but with everyone pulling together, we've managed to get things back up and running. Jimbaha, I come with questions related to that tragedy, specifically your survival of the final days. Although you are similar to Kalzal in many respects, he succumbed to the transformation and you did not. Why? What is the critical difference between you and him? What? I'm sure I don't know. I'm not especially brave or courageous, if that's what you're asking. Perhaps being focused on protecting our workshops kept me from spinning into a panic. Still, I imagine Kalzal would have been feeling the same sense of responsibility. Perhaps the weight of it all is what invited his demise. You were of the same mind, resolved to the same purpose. Yet your strength of heart, of spirit, was not equal. If merely emulating the individual is insufficient, then some other unseen factor must be involved. Ahem, not to interrupt these deep philosophical musings, but do you think I could ask you a small favor? Yeah, what's up? There's a man by the name of Nashvan who's been helping us out here while he gets back on his feet. I have a feeling he'd benefit from speaking with you. Leave by the eastern exit and you should find him just outside, organizing some new inventory items. Okay. I am still dissecting Jinabaha's remarks. You are permitted to indulge his favor and seek out Nashvan while I continue to process this data. See the talk point, but where is it? Avnarian weave. The equipment being manufactured here, it is worn to perform specific duties, yes? Conceptually, it seems analogous to our practice of switching frames to better serve our mission objectives. I, for example, did not begin existence with the Omega model. I was originally supplied with a standard issue Omicron chassis, serial number M017. On this world, that alphanumeric combination would be considered my given name. Such designations are drawn from our nearly infinite register of celestial bodies to avoid the possibility of duplication. Furthermore, the cluster known as M017 is better expressed in your language as the Omega Nebula, the same word I used to introduce myself to your kind. Though you associate Omega with the advanced weapon construct, it is also my name, and I see no reason to change it no matter which frame I inhabit. Omega lore! Also, that answered my question. Omega was not, like, in there from the start. What do you think about the fabric, Alpha? Puffs out his chest proudly, seeming to imply that his ironworks uniform is the best attire anyone could wear. Oh, sweet baby boy, I love you. There he is. Seller orders accounted for, and everything looks to be of good quality. Kamala will be pleased. You were with the Scions. You were there. Yes, hello. Yes, I'm sure of it. I'll never forget that day. You and your friends helped us escape when people began changing into beasts. Oh! Are you the guy whose son turned into a little thing and then got stepped on and then... Oh no. Yeah, I can understand why you want to talk with us. My own son, he was afflicted. Then that huge monstrosity loomed right over him and... I remember my heart turning to ice, freezing in place. The satrap came to my aid, but then he too was gone. Graha helped you, I think, right? Yeah, there you go, see? The memories run together in my mind, like flashes from a nightmare. Only the words of your comrades still ring clear. I repeated them over and over, like a mantra, as I fled for my life. You must run, for their sake and your own. It all seemed so surreal, which was probably what saved me from the transformation. The truth of it didn't begin to sink in until the worst of it was over. I have not the words to describe how I felt then, the sorrow, the overwhelming sense of helplessness. I may still be wallowing in misery, if not for my old friend Gimme. I'd lost my will to work, and he encouraged me with kind words and odd jobs. Now, somehow, I live again. I am thankful to him, to the courageous Ahewan, and to you. If you see your comrades, please let them know their efforts were not in vain. Absolutely. Omega, please don't be weird. You said you lost your will to work. This signifies a cessation of efforts to maintain basic life functions, yes? What changed to extract you from that stagnation? An offer of work from Gimme should mean little to one without the desire to accept it. Was it some manner of mortal instinct? A primal need to survive and thrive? Instinct? No, it wasn't that. If anything, my instincts were telling me to lay down and welcome an end to the pain. Every day I think of my boy's final moments. I think of how scared he must have been, how it must have hurt, and I want to scream my throat raw. The satrap, too, still haunts my dreams. I see him being swallowed whole and jolt awake in a cold sweat. I love that you knelt down to talk to it. That's very cute. But something... Oh, thank God it's not raining either. Anyway, but something changed when Gimme came to me. I looked up and saw that, even without my son or Ahewan, the world around me continued to turn. And because that fact grieved me so, I knew it fell to me to live on and remember them. Strange, isn't it? What drives me to rise in the morning is the very sorrow which once crippled me. Now, I really must return to my work. To lose this job after everything I just said would be a poor jest indeed. May the sisters keep you well. Sorrow, the emotion generated by mortals when their ideals fail to materialize. This I have observed. Yet when I listen to how Nashvan's sorrow served to rescue him from near-fatal despondency, his logic eludes me. Am I incapable of perceiving the full measure of the heart's properties? My best projections failed to predict our subjects' responses, and despite their almost equal occupational and mental parameters, Jinavaha and Kalzal exhibited different reactions to the dynamis effect. I am no closer to recognizing the pattern for involuntary transformations, and your ephemeral mortal spirits confound me as much, if not more, than they did before. Have you considered that there is no pattern to the people afflicted? No pattern. You imply that the transformation was not contingent on individual fortitude, but rather a random contribution of environmental factors? Such a theory would explain the otherwise conflicting data. Very well, I shall accept this as a provisional conclusion to this part of my investigation. I do, however, expect you to continue supplementing my education of heart-related matters. I mean, yeah. Where you want to go next, buddy? That's gotta say goodbye, Aetheris, right? Surely we're going to Ultima Thule. Our next destination will be, or maybe the moon button. Our next destination will be Camp Broken Glass. I desire elaboration on the dealings between the Ilsabard contingent and the citizens of Garlemald. The report described the contingent's purpose as the salvation of the local populace. Furthermore, both factions faced a common enemy in the Talaforoi. Why did they not immediately combine forces to their mutual benefit? This inconsistency requires closer examination. Carolyn, initiate teleportation. Quay! Is it just taking me there for free? It is! Hell yeah, we love free teleports. Quay. Oh, he's shivering, baby! Oh. Teleportation successful. Evaluating immediate environs. A cold weather region by Aetheris standards, but significantly less extreme than a star with ice planet classification. This body should not be unduly impeded. In contrast to Alpha and his uncontrollable shivering, my frame appears highly resistant to low temperatures. Retrieving data, records indicate that remnants of the contingent force and a number of Imperial citizens yet inhabit this location. We must speak with representatives from both factions and explore their respective attitudes. Proceed. Please approach a contingent member and an Imperial citizen. I require input from both perspectives. I recommend you move at a brisk pace. The exertion will raise your body temperature, preventing you and Alpha from freezing to death. Give the baby a sweater! Oh, he's sneezing! Poor little guy. Where is this one? All the way around here. Hello. You're the guy that gave the soup, I think. Unless you're just a reused model, but you never know. Carolyn, come to see how things are progressing, have you? I can't speak for the overall strategy, but communication with the locals has become a damn sight easier since Euless and his soldiers stepped in to help. Oh, we still face our fair share of distrust, of course. Some folk even think we're enslaving minds with our foreign magics. We have Anima to thank for putting that idea in their heads. But all things considered, I'd say we're doing pretty well. Establishing an open dialogue was the first big step. Query: you consider this level of progress acceptable? The reality of your efforts falls far short of the ideal. If your aim is to provide efficient succor to the local populace, then absorbing their numbers into your command structure would be the optimal path. Oh, I wouldn't want to go that far. We're not looking to take over their nation. If we're to do this the right way, we need to recognize and respect each other's way of life. So while it may not be the easiest solution, I agree with the contingent's slow and steady approach. I'm just happy we're saving lives. I'm Alamegan, but I was also an Imperial conscript until not so long ago, though I was lucky enough to have a decent commanding officer. Many Garleans treated provincials like we were less than people. On the other hand, natives of Alamigo didn't think much of us either. I guess that's my roundabout way of saying I'm surprised this contingent was even formed in the first place. I feel fortunate to be a part of it. A shadow from the past? Yes, I know you from Victor's spoils. Have you come to laugh at me? A wretch who chose to lose Lucinia and her sister rather than accept your help? The fool who ended up reliant upon your charity nonetheless? No. Well, perhaps I deserve your derision. My compatriots surely scorn my failed conviction. I have shamed my people and brought dishonor upon my nation. I am no better than a kept beast, my pride sold for a bowl of feed. But my soul, nay, that you shall not have. I have refused your honeyed offers of a new home. This land is where I belong, and this is where I shall remain. Lip, you demonstrate opposition to the contingent's overtures. On what basis do you refuse this cooperation? The data suggests the local populace is struggling to produce the bare minimum of sustenance. Have you some secret strategy for survival, or do your orders compel you to accept your present misfortune? What? Must I be mocked by a Magitech toy now? No, I have no secret strategy, no binding orders. I but comport myself as any true Garlean patriot would, uncompromising, unbending. Blast it all. Once again, this input is unanticipated. Let us move aside and process what we have heard. I'm going to talk to you again. It is not for me here. I know this, but if I surrender my homeland, then what was it all for? This person, I think, is also doing these quests. Accessing and analyzing recorded data. Integration complete. I have evaluated this most recent input and made comparisons to our discoveries in Razathan. Consistent only in their inconsistency, the responses from both contingent member and Imperial citizens were highly irrational. Conversely, any Omicron considering their predicaments would have echoed my assessment exactly. The divergence from self-evident logic is key. Hypothesis: the illogical relationship between would-be saviors and suffering populace is another result of the unpredictable nature of mortal hearts. Yeah, basically. Any property or ability has inherent advantages and disadvantages, yet never have I encountered such a unique detriment. It appears that those who share your metaphysical capabilities are prone to complicating simple cognitive processes. An undesirable quality. I will, however, persist in furthering my understanding of the subject. Query: prior to formulating our next step, I wish to know, who is this Lucinia the Imperial mentioned? Oh boy, that's a story you're not going to understand at all if you didn't get what's been happening so far. Alpha's sad. I know, I'm sorry. Acknowledged. To summarize, insufficient data on foreign culture resulted in inadvisable and untimely fatal action. I witnessed such self-destructive behavior during the course of our planetary conquests. Overwhelmed enemy forces would voluntarily withdraw into perilous regions, leading to a succession of inevitable losses. Tangential data request. I wish to learn about burial customs. The practice has ever seemed nonsensical, but new data suggests it arises from the same source as your cognitive complications. Take me to this Lucinia's burial site. It may aid me in understand. Huh? You okay? Energy delivery systems compromised. Core temperature critically low. Beep. Warning. Immediate heating required. Request. Apply friction to outer frame. Pet the robot. Pet the robot. Good stuff. Loop, flip. Temperature nominal. Energy levels stabilizing. The creators of this model must have experienced impaired cognitive reasoning during the design process. Upon our return, I will request additional climate shielding, as well as an accurate temperature sensor array. This will not affect my combat capabilities, but should improve my basic survival rate. Reconfirming sub-destination. In which direction will we find Victor's spoils? Acknowledged. Alpha, you are to remain in close proximity. Close enough to envelop me in your feathers. You are permitted to carry me on your back if you so choose. Please do. That would be so cute. That'd be so cute. Oh, adorable. Okay. Rolling over my wires. Okay, I don't think I unplugged anything. Whoop. A deceptively deep snowdrift almost defeated me, but we have successfully arrived at the location you indicated. Whoop. Caution advised. An unknown individual appears to be investigating the object of my interest. You're Eorzea's champion, aren't you? Carolyn Kaw. Oh, I never introduced myself, did I? I am Manius, soldier of the First Legion and comrade of Euless. Perhaps you remember me from Tertium? We spoke about collecting ceruleum, and again later on, after Lord Quintus had passed. I do not remember you. Okay, like, incidental background character. gotta say, don't remember you. And I remember a lot of people. Sorry, bud. Manius, explanation requested. What is the reason for your presence here? That must be the tiniest Magitech weapon no, it's just an oddly shaped communicator, isn't it? In any case, I have nothing worthy to report. I heard that the sisters who used to live in my sector were buried here, so I thought I'd come and pay my respects. Alphino and Alize told me the story, complete with profuse apologies, though they were adamant that no amount of remorse could erase the tragedy of what came to pass. Not that my fellow soldiers and I are in any place to judge. We were manipulated, fooled into starting an insurrection which led to countless deaths among our own countrymen. Objection. The casualties incurred through your infighting are distinct from those caused by the Ilsabard contingent. To restate, you are justified in seeking restitution from the contingent for causing the deaths of Lucinia and her sister. Retaliation for damages sustained is also a logical progression. I mean, fair, but I can deduce 2 reasons why you do not initiate hostilities with Carolyn and her allies. 1. You judge your remaining forces too weakened to contend effectively with the contingent. 2. Your emotions are complicating the issue. Tell me, which of these is correct? Omega is very weird, sorry. Well, when you lay it out like that. Ahem. I'm afraid my answer isn't like to win me any medals, so would you mind keeping this to yourselves? Yeah? There's the unspoken thought that we're outmatched on the battlefield, certainly, but the real reason I'm not demanding restitution has little to do with weighing the odds. The simple truth is I'm so caught up with simple survival that I've no strength to spare for past grievances. The same goes for avenging any comrades we've lost, be that my brothers in arms or Lord Quintus himself. Although it seems everyone has an opinion about the manner of his passing. Some say he should have fought until the end, that he abandoned us to the enemy. Others praise him for taking the full burden of responsibility and freeing us to walk our own path. I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but I'm inclined to side with the latter. He gave us the choice of freedom, and that's the choice I made. I could cry and rant and rage, but what would be the point? I'll save my energy for worrying about my next meal, my next task. I need to focus on the ones left behind, on making some kind of life for my comrades and me. And if I need to lean on the contingent to do that, then that's what I'll do. Even if their aid comes at a price, I'm willing to pay it. Even amongst your own, there are times when cooperation demands compromise. What matter that they're outsiders? Besides, I think I could grow to like Alphino and Alize. They've reached out to us with kindness and compassion from the very beginning. Summation. Your desire to survive, even should it mean allying with the contingent, was a feeling you already harbored. That your side had committed worse atrocities was the logic you invented later to justify your reasoning. Blunt but accurate, I suppose. The heart is honest about what it wants, even if the mind takes a while to reconcile the conditions. Decision. Wrong word. I thought I was saying something right. Well, this has been oddly cathartic, but I must return to my duties. There are wild beasts to cull, watchfires to light, supplies to transport. Even without an emperor, there's no rest for an imperial. Be well and stay safe. Upon review of recent input, I have arrived at an unexpected conclusion. I have been formulating my assessments on the premise that it was man who commanded the strength of his heart, but the data suggests the opposite is true. The surge of spirit, of feelings, of emotions can entangle your thoughts to such a degree that even control over your own behavior is compromised. It seems a most counterproductive specification. This also explains why my interactions with mortal subjects have produced more confusion than clarification. It presents a formidable barrier to understanding. Indeed. I'm gonna go look at the graves anyway. But my earlier hypothesis has been borne out. The suboptimal operation being conducted here is the result of emotionally compromised reasoning. I am ready to progress to my third and final query. I would learn more about those referred to as ancients. It is clear that this group was a crucial factor in the final days, but the information contained in the report was insufficient to form an overview. The Loporrits are creations of the ancients, and are said to maintain repositories of their knowledge. By my calculations, the base of these moon-dwellers will provide the best resource of additional data. Teleport us to their burrow, Carolyn, preferably before my battery freezes over. Oh man, Alpha's just like looking. I know you're very small and it's very exciting. There's a lot to look at. I know. Your teleportation spell was successful. We appear to have arrived at the location described as Bestway's Burrow. An inspection of the technology in use here would give me detailed insight into the ancients and their civilization. This body, however, lacks my previous frame's advanced observational functionality. I will require external assistance. No, it can't be. It is you! Oh, Carolyn, I've missed you so. What's this you've brought with you? This soft, feathery vision. We've been outfluffed. Pack up the moon. It's all over. Why bother with burrow-building bunnies when you could walk around with this adorable avian engineer? Just bake me into a pie and be done with it. You're still cute, don't worry. Inspect our inventions? Wait, so you're not done with us? Ah, I wasn't truly worried, of course. I certainly wasn't about to roll myself in dough and dive into Cookingway's new oven. Ahem. If a technical breakdown is what you need, then I am your Loporrit. As the resident atmospheric regulation expert, I can field any question or query you might care to pose. Acceptable. I will employ this being to guide me around the facilities. Your presence is not mandatory. Even locked within my current chassis, I am still an autonomous construct that has endured hundreds of your life cycles. I am capable of completing this simple objective alone. Okay, have fun! Come back to me with a silly hat. I'm just gonna hang out with Alpha. Oh no, you're going with two. Okay, bye. No silly hat. Disappointed. Objective complete. What happened to Growing Way? Was the tour helpful? Affirmative. I observed a repetitive cross-section of the Loporrit's engineering capabilities. A representative cross-section of the Loporrit's engineering capabilities. My guide required more time to confirm the answer to certain questions, but overall, we made efficient progress. Conclusion. Extrapolating from the fraction of technology on display, the full spectrum of the ancients' advancements was, at minimum, equivalent to a level 4 civilization, a fact which demands further investigation. Despite establishing a near-ideal society, these beings nevertheless harbored a weakness which invited self-destruction. In studying them, I stand to gain a greater understanding of Sir's anomalous decision. Growing Way informed me that another type of ancient-made entity exists upon this satellite, the one they call the Watcher. I would speak to him. Okay. Yep. Then conserve your ether. We will ride this Argos to our destination, as you have suggested. Okay, sure. I mean, I literally don't mind teleporting, but sure, we'll ride the doggo. Ride the pupper. I'll even get on the pupper now for you. Argos, don't be mean. Oop. Impedance detected. The creature identified as Argos refuses to acknowledge our presence. Hypothesis. Upon our arrival, Growing Way expressed concern that he had been outfluffed. This suggests the existence of a fluff-based hierarchy. My station in such a system would be predictably low, but Argos is adamant in ignoring even Alpha. Its fluffiness level is impossible to gauge. Argos turns to you with an impassive glance. It seems you'll need to intervene. You're the fluffiest of them all, dear Argos. Just think of them as luggage. Argos gives an exasperated snort before motioning to his back. It seems you have permission to climb aboard. Oop. You have secured the creature's permission? Curious. You must have special standing in the fluffiness hierarchy. Eep. I have allowed myself to become distracted. Let us continue on to the Watcher at once. The Watcher located. An estimate of this being's height explains the inconvenient scale of Bestway's burrow. I was bemused by the arrival of these small visitors, but I see they are companions of yours. What a rare thing for my abode to be thus crowded. How may I be of service to you? Hello, Watcher. My purpose here is to learn more about the ancients. I would know of their deeds, their philosophies, the very nature of their hearts. I would understand why the final days was visited upon my home star. A worthy endeavor, but there is another better suited to assisting you with that task. Perhaps you might favor us with a tale or two of the ancients you met during your travels, Carolyn? My fragmented memories would be a pale substitute indeed for the clarity of your more recent experiences. This is true. You could have just asked me. Yes. Jeez, I really forgot how big they are. Like, extremely. This is a very good angle. Yes, I can envision every detail. Your meeting with Vina and Emet-Selk and Hythlodaeus, the sorrow and determination of Hermes. I am a creation of Hydaelyn, and as such, I believed the age of the ancients would fade and be forgotten. Yet, knowing that their memory lives so vividly within you, it brings me great joy. I pray you keep them close to your heart. At the time of your journey to the past, the one whose essence I embody would have been a scholar at a Niter. A shame. Had you reason to go there, perhaps you might have met. Woo. Wait, before I continue, let me process this. Which Annesis Aniter, or Academia Aniter? Which one? There's two. One whose essence I embody. What does that mean? I did go there, but like, as a man of learning, he was firm friends with Vana. They spent long hours trading theories or debating the laws of the universe. I remember joining her faction as the final days bore down upon us. Yet of the events surrounding that tragedy, I recall precious little. Hydaelyn wished for the people of your age to decide their own path, thus I suspect my recollection was limited by design. Yet even she could not cut away one persistent memory. I feel most distinctly his sadness at what was to come to pass, that in becoming Hydaelyn's heart, Vana would forever stand apart from the people she so loved. Okay, so this is the person I was thinking of. When Vana was first named in 5.2, I guess, there was like a memory crystal that had a flashback of someone talking with her. This is not the same person, but is a entity generated in his image, like the shades in Amarant, I guess. If she were so resolved in her convictions, then he too would share her sleepless vigil over the future yet to unfold. Thus was the vow he made to Vana as her transformation took hold. His fervent wish must have reached her in some fashion, for though his life was drained away by the summoning, he was reborn with new form and new purpose when I awoke as the Watcher of the Moon. And you heard, Carolyn, you felt, you thought, and in seizing the future for yourselves, have you brought full circle the saga which Vana began. What you accomplished was no divine miracle, it was but the beacon of hope, passed down from one generation to the next, a succession of wishes and prayers reshaping the star into the world we knew you deserved. You have our deepest gratitude. I thank you not only as myself, but as the man I once was, and on behalf of those who devoted themselves to Vana's vision. Oop, Omega's malfunctioning again. I understand the facts of your story, Carolyn, but not how you have chosen to process them. On what grounds do you speak of Vana with such fondness? By sundering the world, she ultimately guided your kind to victory, yet in doing so caused irreparable damage to its individual members. The full scale of that act is beyond calculation. It is evident, however, that it resulted in a protracted period of suboptimal existence for Emet-Selch and his brethren. Query: if the survival of your kind is the deciding factor in your evaluation, then should you not also admire Hermes and his decision to subject man to a trial, forcing you to change or perish, as was the fate of countless civilizations before you? From my perspective, his determination was similar to that of the Omicron's ancestors, those who first began trading flesh for machine so that our people might stand against the onslaught of aggression from other races. It was an unprecedented attempt, accompanied by much failure and sacrifice. Their early experiments were crude, primitive. Had they not made those first advances, however, we would have remained vulnerable to our environment. The violence would have utterly consumed us. And what of Emet-Selch himself? Judging by your retelling, he was a benevolent ally saddled with tragic fate. Yet I remember the years when my instruments fed me data from events across the entire star. During that time, I witnessed his Asians engineer multiple instances of cataclysmic strife. These calamities, as you know them, were responsible for planet-wide destruction. A man whose endgame relied upon the extinction of all modern mortals must, by definition, be your worst enemy. Y'all ever see some quest dialogue and go, people probably have strong opinions about this? I know people that think like Omega, that like just straight up don't like a lot of the characters that Omega is also not liking. I require an answer. As a being of heart and soul, how do you classify each of these pivotal figures? From your perspective, which of them was most justified in their actions? Oh no. Don't make me pick. I don't want to have to think about this. No one was justified. Everyone was wrong. I like that there's an everyone was justified in their own way kind of answer, because technically, yeah. I think the only one who probably wasn't was Hermes. But that's just because I think he overreacted. But that's just because I think something was weirdly translated. I think something... It feels like a part of the story is missing from the Elpis arc. But like, I'm still not gonna blame the dude. He didn't start off with any ill intent. Anyway, they were all justified in their own way. Technically, yes. But also, I don't want to have to think about it. Yukab is absolutely haunted, Kuro. You are correct. How many times have you died to Twister memes? I think I understand. You seek a definitive answer, yet based on our experiences, Carolyn and I might develop very different opinions. In the same fashion, you are free to form your own thoughts on the matter. Do not be so swift to consider them without merit. 10 strike is where the real memes are. I haven't seen any further than, I think, second nail quotes, because I was just like filling in for a couple of nights. But so I experienced a lot of Twister memes in a very short amount of time. I do not have my own thoughts on the matter. I assess each situation with the same logic pathways available to every Omicron. Even if 1,000 Omicrons were asked to analyze the same event, they would all return the same result, regardless of individual experience. There is no strength to be found in fractured reasoning. Nonetheless, I find your input valuable, recording data alongside interview results. This concludes my investigation into the incomplete elements of the final day's report. I will reanalyze the accumulated information and examine the factors which led to Sir's incomprehensible action. Pip, let us return to Thamazon. Pleasant to hear your tales of Elpis. Should you ever need an audience familiar with the subject, I would be glad to listen to more of your recollection. Even with one's gaze fixed upon the future, we oftentimes find our thoughts drifting to the past. 'Tis a shame that Heidelin never chose to speak of it. I thankfully never had to deal with hatches when I was doing UCOP. They were other people's problems. They didn't look like a lot of fun, though. Back in time for what? You had a fruitful trip, I hope. I'm absolutely bursting to ask about your experiences with Omega, but I don't wish to be a pest. I'll swallow my questions for now and maintain my academic decorum. Besides, it seems our engineering friends are in a hurry to leave. Ah, there you are, right at the last moment. Your journey with Omega was properly educational, I hope? We planned to ask you all about it and that mystery transmission besides, but I'm afraid something urgent has come up. Seems one of our Ironworks associates has fouled up a job elsewhere, and Jesse needs Wedge and me to rush in and lend a hand. There's an airship already waiting for us out in the harbor, in fact. Do you think you could escort us over there and talk as we walk? Lip. Acceptable. I am fully capable of speech during ambulation. I figured you might be. Right, let's get a move on then. Ooh. Instrumental Ultima Thule. Okay. So, you've cleared up all those points of confusion then? I had mistakenly classified your intangible heart as an ability of some kind. An uncanny power that Omicrons could neither learn nor even measure. Even now, its full nature yet eludes my comprehension. Based upon our investigations, however, I have decided to alter my definition. A phenomenon which influences one's interpretation of reality. That is as close to an answer as I have found. Accordingly, Sir's actions upon meeting Medion strongly indicate the presence of a heart. Sir did not follow routine logic, but formulated an independent assessment based upon the reality it perceived. It felt that the best recourse for the Omicrons was to cease their expansion and terminate all function. Well, here's our ship. Aye, we need to be going, but first, I'll hold you to your bargain, Omega. It's time you told us— oh right, what was in that transmission from the flight logs. Acknowledged. I will uphold the terms of our agreement. The recording salvaged from the Ragnarok was a simple one. I'm about to get real sad, aren't I? The message is so basic, in fact, that the time spent listening to it may result in a net loss of value. Shall I continue? Yeah, you're just teasing. Tell us the message already. Acknowledged. Converting dialect coding to local language. To whomever receives this message out there in the vast reaches of the cosmos. To someone, I hope, who looks up at the stars with the same wistful gaze as mine. To you I say, forge ahead. May all our tomorrows be blessed with joy. This message had no designated recipient. It lacks purpose. The concept of joy is overly abstract. The vocal supplication to manifest said joy is unrealistic in its optimism. Yet, based upon their expressions, my assessment of the transmission's value conflicts with its apparent impact. And still, I fail to understand you, sir. Your heart still confuses me. Was termination of everything the correct course? How did you arrive at this conclusion? It defies all my attempts at reasoning. But I was designed to evolve. If I continue to learn, the probability that I eventually comprehend this phenomenon is greater than 0. So I will put the dilemma of your decision aside for now. And continue my existence upon this distant star. As I dwell among these many life forms, so will I continue to piece together the complete shape of their mortal hearts. I must document their progress. One second. I'm pulling this back. Omega was like, this is the Doom timeline Omega. So like, paths diverged. These are different instances of Omega at this point. But this Omega was also just gathering data and trying to understand everything. Except, unlike this Omega, the Doom timeline Omega started to figure it out. Very interesting. Right, I get something from this. What do I get? Your contribution to my education is appreciated, Carolyn. Indeed, I have amassed a satisfying quantity of valuable data. Now that our negotiated business is complete, however, Alpha and I will return to traveling the world. Drawing on recent experience, I am confident we can expand the radius of our ventures by a significant margin. We need not limit ourselves to Eorzea. I am now familiar with Charlian and Radzatan, and would also like to revisit the freezing climes of Garla. I neglected to instruct Biggs and Wedge to upgrade my climate shielding, but I will reroute my request to Deputy President Jesse, engaging ambulation and parting salutations. Farewell, Carolyn. Goodbye! Alpha gives a vigorous shake and draws forth a scrap of paper from under his wing. Oh, have a present for me? Thank you! What is it? Seems he wants you to have it. Perhaps this is his way of thanking you. What is it? Ooh! What a weird place for this to come from. But thanks? Swiftly, Alpha. The road is long and we have barely begun our journey. You can replay that in New Game Plus? That seems strange. Side story? Ah? Omega be- oh, there it is. Omega Beyond the Rift. Interesting. Okay. Neat. So, I can't remember. Is Flow Together the, like, happier sounding one, or the depressing one? Can't remember. Let's go listen to it. I know about the Hildebrand stuff. It's on my list. It's just, you know, the fourth thing on the list. I'm gonna have to do it eventually if I care about the relic stuff. It's not that I don't enjoy Hildebrand. I'm just slow. Very, very slow. Hello, Ojika. Probably in the other... Flow and Flow Together. Yeah! Okay, Flow Together's the happier one. Cool. I actually listen to this passively sometimes. I think it's a really good track. So that's cool. Neat. Okay. So, I do still want to do the Tataru quests, but I have to do roulettes and stuff still today. So I think I'm actually going to turn off the stream here and pick up the Tataru quest tomorrow night. And eventually Hildebrand, I suppose, afterwards as well. I'm pretty sure those are the only 4 things, was the role quest, Omega, Tataru, Hildebrand. I think. I'll have to, like, go through my mental list of crap, but I'm pretty sure we're, like, halfway done with things I want to do. I have to do it, I gotta get my tomes and do my stuff. We're done for now, though. We've been here for about 3.5 hours total of stream things. So, there's a week of Hildebrand content. Yeah, I know. All the places where Ultimate Prog would have been would be stream stuff, except for yesterday because I was tired. But basically every night until 6.2 I'm gonna be doing stuff, and Hildebrand will take up most of it, so don't worry. But yeah, we're all done for now. Oh, thank you. Whoop. Where's the button? That's print screen. Am I blind? There it is. I did hit the right button. I just know it didn't work. Anyway, we're done for now. Thank you for hanging out. And the next stream and video will be Tataru stuff, and then Hildebrand stuff, which will not be in YouTube videos. And then it will be 6.2. So I will see you later. Bye!